the only place for everything Vikings. 6, 1, 2, Vikings.
Guys, we have some breaking Vikings news. The Vikings are signing a running back. Guys, you guys hear that? Guys, get excited. The Minnesota Vikings are signing running back Xazavian Valladay. Used to be on the Houston Texans and the Saints, but now is on the Minnesota Vikings. Honestly, guys, I know nothing about him. Drew's going to tell you literally everything about the guy from his blood type to his stats. So, Drew, take it away.
All right, so Xazavian Valladay, he is a guy from Brother Rice High School, which is a Catholic school that would play against Nazareth Academy, which we all know is J.J. McCarthy's high school. So, has some experience playing against him there, so they'll have a familiar face in that in the backfield there. So, somewhat familiar face with rival high schools there. He went to the University of Wyoming, where I got to see him for a couple years over there as well. Had a redshirt year his freshman year. Got some snaps here and there. Was pretty. You kind of saw some promise there that he'd be the guy to replace a guy named Nico Evans, who was one of the top rushers that season his freshman year. He took over his sophomore season and had a fantastic year over there, where he had his career high, which is 1265 for rushing yards and then a handful of touchdowns, but was really good over there at Wyoming, and then kind of had some up and down years after that. Transfers to Arizona State, and he kind of saw a career resurgence over there with this COVID year. He had a really high volume of rushes, and he ended up having his career high in touchdowns with 16 touchdowns. So he's kind of in my opinion, I would say he's kind of an all-around back. He's not going to be like a Derrick Henry type, but he's not going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs type where he's going to blow by you with some speed. So I would say he's kind of like that, kind of a hybrid, just your all-around back who just kind of does a little bit of everything. Some nice size to him for the goal line, but can also penetrate to get some big gains as well. So he was a solid back in college, but overall, I think with a guy like this, I think it's just a depth signing. But it is kind of nice to have some sort of depth going in, because you don't really want to be playing Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones week 3 before week 1 comes around. So
exactly.
What do you kind of see this for the Vikings and kind of this next preseason game and potentially the 53-man roster?
Yeah, before I get to that, I want to apologize for just throwing you into the fire. We were super excited about this episode, so we want to let you guys know that we had some breaking news. But besides that, from what I've heard, super intriguing player. Kind of like you said, all around back that I think Xavier Scott, Ty Chandler, and the other guy too. Who's the other running back that we have? Trey Stewart. I kept blanking on his name. But those 3 guys, I think they're going to be playing their butts off in this 3rd preseason game. Or maybe one of them, Ty Chandler's not going to play because he might know that he's on his way out. Or, who knows? Who knows what the Vikings want to do in this 3rd preseason game. But Valladay, I think he might be playing in this 3rd game on Friday night against the Tennessee Titans. Just a little bit, just to kind of get his feet wet. It's not like a full playbook or anything, but super interesting guy. But with that running back group that you have, like you said, you're not going to play Aaron Jones in that 3rd game. You're not going to play Jordan Mason. Xavier Scott, he's been looking really good in these past 2 games. Not quite as good in that Patriots game, but definitely in the first game against the Texans, looked really good. So if we can get him going a little bit in this 3rd preseason game, that'd be kind of like the final nail in the coffin for him to make the 53-man roster. We kind of just made an episode on guys that should make it, and he was one of our guys, not to spoil the episode, but kind of one of our guys to make that roster for the Vikings. Trey Stewart, I don't think makes it. I don't know if he's really a practice squad guy at all. We just haven't seen much from him. So a guy like Valladay, I think, will be an interesting guy, like I said before. So, I don't know. I don't know if he makes the 53-man roster right away. Maybe a good practice squad guy. So, like I said, I know nothing about the guy. Just kind of excited from what Drew has been talking about.
Yeah, he's been kind of bouncing around the league for a bit. He actually got some reps a couple of years ago with the Jets, but has been kind of a backup, kind of been bouncing around the league a little bit. But like I said, he's not going to be a guy that's going to blur by you like a Gibbs or blow things up at the goal line like a Derrick Henry and truck guys. So if I had to give him like a pro comp, I would say he's kind of like a Tony Pollard-esque kind of guy, like the style of play. Not that he would be Tony Pollard, but just the style of like the way he approaches the game, I would say is similar to him. He can kind of catch out of the backfield a little bit and, just kind of be your all-around back, really. You can kind of do a little bit of everything. So I think that could be something really nice to have, the preseason games. And, I don't think that Xavier Scott's been really the, best pass blocker out there. But then, Trey Stewart is kind of a more shorter, stouter back. So you kind of have a little bit more beef in that running back room a little bit, I guess, between those two. So I think with that, if you're really looking to push to win a second preseason game this year in a, I don't say meaningless, but just in your little scrimmage games, you want to go 2-1, then this would be a good pickup for him. I don't know if this would be a thing where he'd make the 53-man roster. I think it's just one of those things where they just want to fill out a roster spot, get a little bit more depth. Maybe they really just want to give Xavier Scott some rest, or like you said, maybe Ty Chandler wants to be out the door, and they think Xavier Scott's making the 53 like we were talking about in the previous episode. So
now, I do got a question for you, too. Yeah. Has Valladay ever played like kick or punt returner, or does he have that ability to him? Because I know the Vikings are kind of looking for that spot as well.
Yeah, I don't remember him really being that guy over there. They used a lot. I know, like I can't speak for what he did at Arizona State, but when I was there for a few years, he was just kind of like your strict running back kind of guy. They used a lot of like receivers and corners. So I think if I remember correctly, they had a guy named Tyler Hall who was on Dallas for a little bit. I think he's with Jacksonville now, but he's made the NFL. But they had different like punt return guys, but yeah, he's not primarily a punt returner or kick returner by any means. They might have thrown him out there maybe once, for a season just to see if he's got anything, like how they normally do with all these skill guys. But he isn't not primarily a position where you can get a lot of returns out of him.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just curious for, myself and then some other fans out there that are kind of wondering, I know we need a wide receiver. We need kind of like kick return, punt return guy too. So, just kind of seeing if he had that ability to him at all, if he's ever played that. So,
yeah. So, like I said, I think this is kind of one of those signings where you look at it and it's more bringing in depth. But I do think it does speak volumes on what the Vikings are really doing to approach this running back room. And I think it can mean one of two things. Like you said, it's either Ty Chandler's on his way out, and maybe we get that news in a couple of days, or Xavier Scott has made the 53-man roster and they don't want him getting a lot of reps. So I think it's going to be one of those two things for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out going into this next week against Tennessee.
Yeah. So, just kind of thought we'd get this episode out, some breaking news for you guys, not earth-shattering NFL breaking news, but just a nice short and sweet episode for you guys, just to kind of get this news out. So, Drew, do you have anything else that you kind of want to add about Valladay here?
No, I think it's pretty much it. He's, like I said, I just think it's one of those cool things where you have these two rival high school players that both made the NFL, and now they're going to be playing for the same team. And I mean, I don't know if JJ's going to get snaps that this next preseason game, but it would be kind of cool if they got a snap together, just because you got the two local kids that were high school rivals, playing against each other, and just kind of a cool story that way. Which I just really thought that was the most interesting thing, is you got the high school rivalries kind of starting to come back to the NFL, and now they're on the same team. So it's always kind of funny to see how things kind of come full circle like that.
Yeah, it's always a cool little story. They can become friends now. Enemies before friends now. So it's kind of cool. So with that said, that is pretty much all we kind of wanted to break for you guys. Kind of get a little get to know a little bit more about Xazavian Valladay, mostly from Drew, because obviously, like I said, I knew nothing about him, but now we know a little bit more about our new guy on the Minnesota Vikings. So with that said, we will see you guys in the next episode, and Skol Vikes.